If I stopped eating at 8 p.m. last night, that means I can't eat until 12 p.m. today. Oh my god, I'm starving. I'm just gonna keep busy so I don't think about my stomach growling. Go to the kitchen and eat anything in sight. Oh look, it's 12 p.m. Time for breakfast. I'm actually not hungry anymore. Welcome to video number 2 of my 3-part series on specific diets for cancer survivors and cancer prevention. In video number 1, I talked about the potential benefits of the keto diet. But if you've ever tried keto, you'll likely know that it's not the easiest diet to follow, especially if you like eating at restaurants, traveling, or even going over to a friend's house for dinner. I mean, if you ask them to make you a low-carb dinner made of mostly fats, you may not get invited back. But in this video, I'm going to tell you about another diet that's making headlines for having a ton of health benefits, one of them being cancer prevention, and that is fasting. But more specifically, we're going to look at intermittent fasting because it's easier to do than a full-on fast where you're not eating anything for say 1 to 7 days, which in my opinion is not easy. But with intermittent fasting, you have an eating window, which I'll explain more in a minute, and it's a lot easier to sustain long term, and it's proving to be just as beneficial for cancer prevention as doing a long fast. If you've ever tried intermittent fasting, you'll know that it's not always easy in the beginning, but it does get easier the longer you stick with it. And for you, it might be even easier than doing the keto diet. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining how you as a cancer survivor or just someone interested in cancer prevention can benefit from intermittent fasting, and I'll be giving you some helpful tips to make it easier so that you're more likely to stick with it long enough to see the benefits. I'm doing this 3-part series on cancer nutrition, not only to help inform you, but also to encourage you to make some healthy changes to your diet, especially if you've been on the fence about doing so, but aren't sure where to start. I'm hoping to bring you some clarity and a little push in the right direction so that you can then make an informed decision about which diet you would like to try or do your own variation of one or maybe a combination of all of them. Because at the end of the day, you know yourself best, your behaviors, your relationship with food, what has worked for you in the past and what didn't. So when deciding which type of diet you want to follow, it's just as important to consider what you would be able to stick with long term and what would best suit your lifestyle. But I have to say here that if you're currently going through cancer treatment, I would highly encourage you to speak with your doctor or work with a nutritionist to make sure any dietary changes are suitable and healthy for you. When you have cancer, it's really important to continuously support and strengthen your immune system to make your body an unfriendly place for cancer to grow or come back. The problem is that most cancer patients aren't taught how to do this. When you finish cancer treatment, your doctor will likely schedule a series of follow-ups, scans, or blood work to make sure that your cancer doesn't come back. But that's not prevention. When you finish treatment, your main focus should be on what you can do to keep your cancer from coming back. So, how can fasting help you with that? Scientists have been studying the benefits of fasting for hundreds of years. What's interesting is that several clinical case studies have shown that patients who fast both before and after their chemotherapy treatments had significantly less treatment side effects like nausea, vomiting, or fatigue than those who didn't fast. The group that fasted also had less nerve damage and less bone marrow suppression from chemo. Now, I don't know about you, but I think if I were going through chemo, the last thing I would want to do is have to fast on top of everything else I have going on. Like, eating is comforting, and at a time like this, you want comfort from food, and your favorite comfort foods. But the good news is there's a lot of different types of fasts you can do, like intermittent fasting or alternate day fasting, for example. And as I just mentioned, most researchers are saying that these types of fasts can be just as beneficial for cancer survivors as doing a long fast. So if intermittent fasting can be just as beneficial but much easier, why not give it a try if you're able to? There are also several ways to do intermittent fasting, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But first I want to convince you to try it by telling you some of the incredible ways that it can help to fight off cancer cells. Number 1, fasting reduces inflammation in the body. We know that cancer cells like to grow in an inflammatory environment, so whenever we work to lower the amount of inflammation in our body, we're creating an environment where cancer is less likely to grow. But although intermittent fasting will help you with this, what you eat during your eating window is equally as important. You don't want to go and override all the benefits you're getting from fasting by eating sugar and junk food when you do eat. Fasting should be used to enhance or complement a healthy diet. One of the biggest benefits of fasting is that it helps to keep your blood sugar low. So you definitely don't want to be breaking your fast with anything sweet or high in carbs, but also it'll be even more beneficial for you to keep your blood sugar low for as much of the day as possible by consuming mostly fats, protein, and low-carb fruits and veggies. What a lot of people find harder than fasting is changing their diet. So if that's the case for you, what I think would help you the most is to start cutting back on sugar, refined carbs, and processed foods as much as possible. Easier said than done, I know, but I would recommend you start making these healthy changes before you try intermittent fasting. You don't want to try to cut out all the foods you love all at once and start fasting on top of that, because you'll likely end up feeling extremely deprived or overwhelmed, and you won't stick with it long enough for it to be beneficial for you. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there. The second way that fasting can help you fight cancer is by DNA repair. When you stop eating, you activate several pathways in the body that you have naturally built in as survival mechanisms. This involves hundreds of genes that kick in to help your body work better, more efficiently, and heal itself. They work to improve your immune function, repair damaged DNA, and clear out cancerous or precancerous cells from the body. Basically, we're often producing precancerous cells, but not all of them go on to become full-blown cancer. Our diet and lifestyle have a huge impact on whether those cells become cancer or not. Number 3, intermittent fasting can help with weight loss, diabetes, and hormone regulation. It's said that 1 in 10 Americans live with type 2 diabetes, and around 2/3 are considered obese. The American Society of Clinical Oncology has estimated that obesity is going to overtake smoking as the #1 cause of cancer worldwide. We've known for years that diabetes and obesity both significantly increase your risk of getting several types of cancer, like liver, pancreatic, endometrial, colorectal, breast, and bladder cancer, for example. But listen to this. There have been several clinical studies done which have shown that people who suffer from obesity and diabetes lose more weight through intermittent fasting than by trying to restrict their calories over a 6 to 12 month period. So the people that did intermittent fasting but didn't change what they ate or how many calories they consumed lost more weight than those who changed what they ate and reduced their calorie intake by 25%. That is very promising news. But if you do have diabetes or if you're taking medications, you'll definitely want to speak to your doctor or a dietitian before starting intermittent fasting. Number 4, intermittent fasting can make your cancer treatments more effective. During fasting, healthy cells switch from a growth phase to a maintenance and repair phase, but tumor cells are unable to slow down their growth. So studies have shown that when cancer patients fast, both before and after their treatments, the treatments are better able to target the tumor cells because they're more susceptible since they're in their growth phase, and your healthy cells will remain less harmed because they're in their maintenance and repair phase. I hope that makes sense. Now, you may be wondering which type of intermittent fasting would be best for you, because there are several ways to do it, but you'll want to fast for at least 14 to 16 hours at a time to get the most out of it. And the longer you can fast, the better, but again, it's whatever you can manage according to your health and lifestyle. What I personally find manageable is the 16 to 8 approach, where you fast for 16 hours a day and only eat during an 8-hour window. So I like to stop eating by 7 p.m. each night, and then start eating again around 11 or 12 o'clock the next day. And whenever I can go longer without getting hangry, I don't eat until I do get hungry. I will extend it as long as I can. But if you find the 14 to 16 hours too difficult at first, you can start slowly with a 12-hour fast from say 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and then gradually increase your fasting window. Another type of intermittent fasting is called the alternate day fast, where obviously you only eat every other day. But it's been shown that on this diet, people typically end up eating more than they normally would and eating whatever they want on the days that they do eat, which can obviously be a recipe for disaster. Also, alternate day fasting isn't suitable for beginners or those who have certain medical conditions, and it's been said to be difficult to maintain this type of fast long term. Third option is the 5-2 diet, where you eat standard amounts of healthy food for 5 days a week and reduce your calorie intake significantly on the other 2 days to a maximum of usually 500 calories a day. Typically, people separate the days where they're reducing their calories, but there haven't been as many studies done on this type of diet, and I wouldn't think that it would be as beneficial as doing intermittent fasting because you can still eat at any time, any day of the week. So with all that being said, I highly recommend starting with a 12 to 16 hour a day fast and do it each day for at least a couple of months before trying a more extreme fast. I've been doing intermittent fasting for a few years now on and off, so I wanted to share with you a few tips that I've personally found really helpful. First and foremost, stay hydrated. Drink a ton of water and calorie-free drinks like herbal teas. You can even have coffee while you're fasting, as long as you're not adding cream or sugar. It also really helps to try to keep yourself distracted so you're not thinking about food. So that means stay out of the kitchen, try not to cook for yourself or for others while you're fasting. And when you do eat, you're going to want to make every calorie count. Choose nutrient-dense foods that are high in protein, fiber, and healthy fats, especially towards the end of your eating window to keep yourself full for longer, keep your blood sugar levels steady, and prevent nutrient deficiencies. Now, to answer a few common questions I know you might have. Yes, you can still take vitamins or supplements while you're doing intermittent fasting. I'd highly recommend taking them during your eating window because a lot of them can give you an upset stomach if they're not taken with food. And a lot of vitamins are fat soluble, which work better when taken with meals. You also may have heard that fasting can cause you to lose muscle mass or slow down your metabolism. Well, yes, all weight loss diets can cause muscle loss, which is why it's extra important to eat a sufficient amount of protein every day. But the good news is that intermittent fasting has been shown to cause less muscle loss than a calorie restriction diet. And some studies have shown that intermittent fasting actually boosts your metabolism, whereas long fasts of say 3 days or more will slow it down. In terms of side effects from fasting, it's not uncommon to feel a bit weak, lethargic, and some people even have a headache at first. But this is only temporary as it can take your body some time to get used to a new eating schedule. To be honest, intermittent fasting is great for some people, but not for all people. And the only way to find out is to try it. If you don't like the idea of fasting, then stay tuned to part 3 of this video series, where I'll be discussing the benefits of the Mediterranean diet for cancer prevention. Because at the end of the day, there's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to nutrition. The best diet for you is one that you can stick with long-term. So if you feel good when you fast and you find it to be a sustainable way of eating, it can be a very powerful tool for weight loss and to improve your overall health. The important thing is to figure out what works best for you, develop a plan, and stick with it. Because there's no better way to improve your health and prevent cancer than with what's on your plate and the timing of your meals. I'll see you in the next video.